let me clarify what it would sound like. For instance, a primary 3 child to not know how to read, or what does it mean? I'd rather somebody controls the background noise. I'm competing with it. Yes, this is the trouble, colleagues. A primary 3 child, for instance, who does not know how to read, or who knows how to read in this case, is one who can use vowels to complete a familiar word. For instance, you're using a, or to make a word such as dad, such as mom, etc. And you at that level, you Uwezo and any other, programmatic, have been evaluating our children as proficient because they know how to use vowels to form familiar words, arrange letters to form a 4-letter word, complete sentences with simple 3-letter words, recognize words that relate to a given occupation, name familiar objects using correctly spelled long words, or arrange words to form grammatically correct sentences. That is at the P3 level. Where is that trouble in not knowing how to, in not supporting our children to read at that level? Colleagues, our children will not be ready to learn. You imagine a child who is going directly to primary 1 and they don't know how to read. That would mean they are not ready to learn. Research has showed a bigger percentage of our children repeating primary 1. Can you imagine somebody being stuck in primary 1 and 2 because they are unable to read? That's why we are saying, how do we make reading a way of life? That's why we are prioritizing making reading a way of life. We need to understand the causes of this problem. President, I will cut on my time on the next priority areas, but I just needed to have this sink into our minds. Before we address this problem of reading deficiency at early grade, what is the problem? What is it that is causing reading deficiency among our children? One of the causes that we need to understand is that in spite of the thematic curriculum's emphasis on use of familiar languages as languages of instruction, colleagues, the National Curriculum Development Center, our language policy states that our children up to primary 3 should be taught in their familiar languages. But in spite of that, what we are seeing in classrooms, teachers are mainly using English. Okay, English could be a familiar language in specific spaces such as, urban centers. But we are talking about use of local languages. But majority of our teachers are predominantly using English as a language of instruction. The classroom practice, therefore, is contrary to the thematic curriculum guidelines. And then the classroom practice ignores mother tongue speaking and listening competencies. We have had this trouble for so many years. Vernacular stinks. Don't speak in vernacular. We could be victims of wearing bonds because of being given cards or being, canned because of speaking vernacular. Don't speak vernacular. But we all know, colleagues, the role of, mother tongue in readying children to learn. I thought I needed to speak to these causes. Joining primary one, a child joining primary one, they are exposed to content that is not in their familiar language. Yes. So the moment the child goes to primary one, they've been speaking Luganda, they've been speaking Lusoga, they've been speaking so they've been speaking, their mother tongue. And if they have not had an opportunity to go to a preschool, they start primary one, somebody is instructing them in English. Totally false. But the other challenge is that our children have not had an opportunity to print. Most of them have not had an opportunity to print by the time they go to primary one. So they are unable to read anything. They're interfacing with a totally new environment. So we need, as BELEP, to make reading a way of life. And my colleague will speak to what does it mean to make reading a way of life. All these activities, they'll be speaking to them. The other priority area is empowerment of teachers to deliver quality basic education. Empowering teachers is a very important theme for this project. But I need to specifically, Fred, here you said teachers are not common people and common people are not teachers. But we need also to understand, I have been jotting down a few things here about what research and what actually policy says about the national teacher policy, what the national teacher policy says about teachers. On their page 1 of the national teacher policy, the Ministry of Education and indeed government of Uganda recognizes that teachers matter more to children's learning than any single other factor. I will quote that teachers are the single most important school-related factor affecting students' learning outcomes than anything else. That means that quality education is to a large extent correlated and dependent on the quality of teachers. But this is even very interesting to note, colleagues, that there may be no classrooms, and I repeat, we may not have any classrooms, we may not have books, we may not have a chalkboard, or we may not have chalk, but if our children have a quality teacher, they will learn. And that affects, that should affect the way we are interpreting the rest of our programmatic activities. If we have no classroom, we may not have classrooms, we may not have books, we may not have chalkboard, we may not have chalk, but if we have a quality teacher, a child will learn. Unfortunately, majority of the teachers in our preschools, in our early childhood development centers in Uganda, lack in quality and fall below the requirements of that policy. Now, the trouble we have is we may not have all the other things for as long as we have quality teacher. But the problem is we don't even have quality teachers. That's the problem. That's why we need how do we ensure that we have related ingredients to enhancing basic education and literacy? How do we ensure we have quality teachers? Fred has been speaking to the National Teacher Policy and its requirements. The National Teacher Policy requires that all teachers, what they call a quality teacher, in the next 10 years will be one who has a degree. We may differ on that definition, but that is the basic, that a quality teacher would be one who has a degree according to National Teacher Policy. But friends, let us appreciate the dilemma we have in Uganda with regard to our teachers in pre-primary, our teachers in early childhood development centers. Most of these teachers in pre-primary are grade 2 and grade 3 certificate holders. You see the trouble? We may not have schools, we may not have classrooms, we may not have pens, we may not have books, but if we have a quality teacher, learning will happen. A quality teacher, according to National Teacher Policy, is one with a degree. That means we don't have quality teachers to engage to support our children in early childhood development centers. Most of them are grade 2 and grade 3 certificate holders. What are we saying as BELEP? What can we do about this as BELEP? We are saying, can we put together, can we support a number of these pre-primary school teachers with certificate with grade 2 and grade 3 to upgrade to at least a diploma, such that maybe in the next other 5-10 years, given as grace period, these teachers from a diploma can enroll to a degree as required by National Teacher Policy. At present, we are stuck. We are in a huge deficit of quality teachers, most of whom are at a certificate level, and we need to support them to transition to at least a diploma and then later to a degree. To us, supporting teachers is the key to enhancing basic education and literacy in the country. I'll now speak to the next priority area. Of course, my colleague will speak to how then do we empower teachers to deliver basic education, the rest of these other activities. And our next priority area is increasing accessibility to basic education. How do we increase access to basic education? We have a huge imbalance in the country with regard to access to basic education. In the urban areas, our children can access basic education, but it is problematic in the rural areas. And so many issues explain this lack of access to basic education in hard to reach areas, rural areas, and where they don't have classrooms, where they don't have, where we have high poverty levels, where we don't have any enabling structures, where we don't have safe water, where we don't have, the problem are complex in hard to reach areas, in rural areas. So we are saying, how do we support our children in hard to reach areas, in especially rural communities, to have access to basic education? And I'll speak to, lastly, President, I'll speak to what we are doing with Rotary Club and I Read at Makerere University. And we are grateful to this partnership. that is constructing a center of excellence in early childhood care and education. This Center of Excellence in Early Childhood Care and Education at Makerere University is purposed in a brief to enhance basic education and literacy, focusing especially on teacher preparation. So with the Rotary and the Institute of Rural Education and Development support, we have this Center of Excellence in Early Childhood Care and Education, especially to enhance basic education and literacy, focusing on teacher preparation and development. And we envisage that as we move forward, the teachers that we want to support will be supported through this Center of Excellence. Then priority area number 4, lastly, is influencing policy change to make basic education a priority. We have been actively involved in the past 2 months in the review of the education policies in Uganda, focusing on early childhood education. We have submitted our views to the Education Policy Review Commission, requiring that basic education, pre-primary education becomes compulsory. At present, it is optional. We are not asking of government to fully fund basic education, including pre-primary, but we are saying where the country says getting to pre-primary is optional, that is where all educational problems begin. You cannot say children will start learning in primary 1 from primary 1. You cannot make no country refer to Finland, refer to Germany, refer to all these developed countries that have understood the importance of foundational education. They have made foundational education compulsory. We cannot relax on that. And so our advocacy is to, one, around this area of policy, advocate for early childhood start education and investing in pre-primary, investing in early childhood education. We need to engage government on increasing funding for basic education. And as I have said, we have submitted a memorandum of a memorandum to the Education Policy Review to consider issues of, one, access, issues of relevancy, issues of quality, and affordable pre-primary or basic education in the country. So those are our priority areas for BELEP. And at this point, I'd like to get back to you, President, so that then our colleague can tease out the specific activities for each priority area. President.
Frederick?
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Dr. David Kabugo, for those great insights. So friends, those are what you would call our priority areas of intervention. And I don't want to repeat it. Just need this, I need to understand. Put whatever you need there. Can you hear me, friends?
Yes, we can hear you.
So sorry about my network. It had gone off, but I hope I'm more audible. So thank you very much, Dr. David Kabugo, for your generosity and sharing with us those rich nuggets. I think that we are doing well as far as managing time is concerned. It is 6 minutes to 10 when we hope to usher in our next presenter. Colleagues, I know to some of us these are new things. As clubs, we need to see how do we fit in. So please jot down as much questions as possible. We have an able team that will be answering all these questions that you have because we want to work with clubs. I will never cease saying that clubs are going to be the center of action in all this. So right about now, I would like to welcome a friend, a sister and a colleague in BELEP by the names of Rotarian Sandra, all the way from Rotary Club of Nigeria. And she's going to do what ladies do. She's going to put all these priority areas into perspective by way of telling us, when you talk about literacy enhancement, what is it that we are going to do to enhance literacy? Attach activities to these priority areas. But not just that, she's going to just give us even a pointer. At the end of the day, how shall we know that we have actually created this kind of impact in this area of intervention? So allow me welcome you, Sandra, to please journey us through two critical areas. One, activities per the thematic priority areas or objectives or goals. And as you do that, kindly point us a bit to the indicators that will show that we have done this. And this is where, friends, the rubber hits the road. We need to know as clubs, what activities are we going to engage in? So allow me right about now, welcome you, Sandra, to take us through the session. Over to you, Sandra. Sandra, are you there?
Thank you.
You are awesome. Awesome. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'll just share my screen. Okay, so just like a mother prepared herself for, pardon? I need to sign out one of the gadgets. All right, I mean, a moment. Hello, can you hear me? Frederick, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. You just need to play your slides so that they are a little more visible.
All right. Okay, so there are two people in the waiting room. Probably you could admit them and also continue the recording because my other gadget signed out, so the recording has been stopped, but kindly continue the recording, Frederick. So
the recording is underway.
we're very excited to implement, thank you. We're very excited to have this project that we know is not only changing 1 year's impact, but a lifetime for many children. And like Frederick rightly mentioned about the learning of children that is very critical in the early years. So 0 to 5 years, 0 to 13 years is very pertinent for us. And we are looking forward to working with so many Rotary clubs, all the Rotary clubs actually, and because these are our foot soldiers. So BELEP is only existent in Rotary with the impact and commitment that is going to come from Rotary clubs. So we are hoping to kick this off with a bang, and that is on 1st of July, as BELEP launches the Dear Day. Dear Day is drop everything and read. We are looking at a satellite of activities in so many schools that every Rotary club will have picked on to empower, to just create a 15-minute segment of time, or others may take it more than 15 minutes, could be 30 minutes, could be 1 hour, but from 11 o'clock a.m. in the morning, East African time, we want to have everyone drop everything they're doing and reading a section of something, either a storybook, a novel, a newsletter, anything that is going to generate some kind of knowledge, because we know that every piece that is reading. So we hope that Rotary clubs will have adopted or spotted a particular number of schools to work with, to empower, and these are the very schools through the BELEP officers. I hope Frederick mentioned about the BELEP officers. We would like every Rotary club to submit one person whom we are going to engage with. For example, we're creating a WhatsApp group with the BELEP officers. We're going to be sharing so much information. So the BELEP officers will be responsible to share this knowledge with the Rotary clubs. So we are really preparing for the Dear Day, and you'll be hearing more on Facebook, on social media platforms, on televisions. Like, we want to really ensure that everyone buys in on the idea. Our time is not so much on our side. So we are really requesting that all Rotary clubs can submit their BELEP officers as soon as possible, so we can identify these schools, get the key persons to communicate with. Our teams will work with these schools to see how best they can actually participate on the Dear Day. But like we mentioned, it's a program. So we want to encourage schools. Can they continue? Can they assign a timeline? Is it once a month? Is it once a week? Can it be probably once every 2 months? A time that is only allocated to reading, just reading. Of course, for schools, we would encourage them to read their academic books because they're going to be examined, but also we encourage storybooks, because most of the learning happens when you're not on tension, when you're not reading because you must read, when you're reading because you are interested, then you deal away with the cram work, and that is how you can pick up new words, new vocabulary that is actually relevant for you to use in your daily life. The other activity that is key that we are hoping to implement through clubs is we are reaching out to clubs and requesting that can every Rotarian donate a book. Very soon, through the BELEP officers, we are going to share how much each book can cost itself. So we are hoping that we are going to support Bubu, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. And these are the storybooks that we are using. And every Rotary club will, through the BELEP officers, be able to contribute a certain amount of money. It can be 5,000, it can be 10,000. Probably one book is 5,000. And if you can buy 5 books, that is 50,000 as a Rotarian or as a club. And we are hoping to raise 1 million books, which we call 1 million readers. So we are really reaching out to Rotarians, Rotaractors, all well-wishers of Rotary to just donate a book. And we are hoping that we shall share these books throughout this year, and even after this year has ended, to continue, because this is a program. We share with schools that may have students that would want to study, but are limited on the resources. So we want to encourage. You might wonder and say, okay, you just share that probably we need to use, teach the students in probably vernacular or in a language they understand. That is at a certain level. But the storybooks we're sharing mostly in English, because we know where the world is heading. We want to prepare our students, our pupils for a better where there's a lot of but when they can at least access it from some sort of leveled ground. Hello, sorry, I was interjected there with my network. Can you hear me? Frederick, am I back on?
We can hear you.
Sandra, we can hear
Frederick,
you, but you need
there?
to get your network. You are there, but you need to get your network a little more stable because you're a bit breaking, eh? But we can hear you now. We seem to have lost Sandra. Sorry about the bad connection, but I'm sure that she will be back on in the shortest time possible. But in the meantime, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Fred.
Yes.
Awesome. Maybe, let me see, just 1 second. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. We seem to have lost Sandra, and I need to step in. Okay. Fantastic. Awesome. Confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So I think we seem to have lost Sandra because of network. I will let her carry forward as she, when she jots in, comes back again. But I can proceed. And she was actually at a point where we are talking about each Rotarian buying a book. Yesterday, I did share a list of the readers with price lists. I've never seen a book as cheap as, a reader as cheap as the prices that have been given to us. And I did mention that we are focusing on local authors. This material has been vetted by the Ministry of Education and Sports for it to be shared with us, to be shared with our readers. So we are not buying things that are going to have funny things for children to read. So be at peace. Really, colleagues, I'm sure that as Rotarians, we can sacrifice just 3,000 shillings or even 10,000 shillings to buy a reader for our children. And the target is we want to donate 1 million readers so that we are able to give enough reading material. And these readers really encourage reading for pleasure, but also they are aligned to the learning curriculum in a way. So they're very, very, very good readers. So Rotary clubs, you can say as a Rotary club, we are going to buy 200, we are going to buy 100,000, but not that. We are all we work in different organizations, you know, of an entity, very many stakeholders that can join hands and we donate to these readers. The target is at least, not at most, at least 1 million. Reading goes hand in hand with writing. And Sandra here is in charge of our national essay writing competition. And this competition is going to be around our theme, Imagine Rotary, but also around the areas of focus. We want to encourage our children and all of us as Rotarians and Rotaractors and Interactors and other children in our schools to write, because reading does not go away from writing. And we are going to encourage to have monthly newsletters, journals, articles that will be locally produced by our children, and they will be published. We are talking with New Vision. Imagine a child in a Kapriprit saying that their article has been published in the New Vision. This will encourage them to not only read, but also write more, because they want, it is a way of encouragement. And we have our Rotary Wave every month. The Wave editorial team has agreed to give us a page every month. We're going to be putting all these materials about enhancing literacy. Fellow Rotarians, Rotractors, and everybody here, we are encouraging Rotary clubs to run monthly reading tents. And you can do this. This is why we are saying primarily, if you can get attached to schools, because I believe as a club, you can get attached to as many schools, maybe as many as the buddy groups you have, and you could maybe attach a school to a particular buddy group. And every month you go to this particular school, because the schools have this structure where you pause and give ample time to reading. The whole message is to make reading a way of life. So monthly reading tents are very, very, very critical. And these tents are going to bring about reading clubs. This sounds like Sandra. Sandra, are you back? Okay. Sandra, if you're back, I am happy to pause. I was just standing in and you carry forward. But I will, friends, reading tents.
Yes, I'm back.
Awesome. So I was standing in and I was at a place of reading tents, and you can carry forward from there. Reading tents by Rotary clubs. Over to you, Sandra.
Thank you so much, Frederick. I apologize for the network interruptions. I've climbed a tree. All right, so we are hoping to work with Rotary clubs in terms of running reading tents. We call them reading tents because you can create a space that is comfortable, whether probably under any shelter. It could be in a room. It could be in your Rotary club sitting. Probably you resolve after a club sitting to just convert into a reading space and share a book. We will be running particular books that you might pick from for those clubs that may not have certain specified books, so that you can at least have a book that we can review. We're looking at it being creative. Probably certain clubs can exchange a book and probably have visitations. We can really get creative on this topic because it is really wide, but the end goal is really encouraging readership. And then also we hope to train parents on their role in supporting children to complete school successfully. Many parents are stressed, not only with COVID-19 effects, but as well as the socioeconomic position they are standing in, the economy, the crisis. We all see how the fuel is. So we need to actually create spaces where we can counsel some parents, help them understand how to prioritize the education for their children in spite of the times, because we believe that when the parents are empowered, when they understand what is at stake, they can work a little bit more to ensure that the children go to school. So could you please go to share the screen to the next? Is it me sharing or Frederick, is that you? Okay, the previous speaker emphasized so much about teachers training. But what I can add is that we are looking at exchange visits of teachers. We have schools that have very good teachers that are so empowered, probably parents even take their children to these particular schools because of a certain teacher or a teacher who was taught there for many years. So we're looking at exchange visits. Can this teacher visit a certain school, probably a low-end school, because most of these are in high-end schools? Can we have exchange programs among as teachers to say, come share your nuggets? You know, a Rotary club can do that. Once you've adopted a school, as well as the Rotarians that we have that are in the education sector, we are looking at creating linkages between some of these schools where we do promotions of these teachers visiting another school to share tips, to share knowledge, as well as conducting refresher trainings. We all know that some of the teachers that teach our children are really probably school dropouts. Some did not attain the level of education that aspired to attain, and they only resorted to teaching because it's an opportunity that came their way. But we want to say, what is the basic? Yeah, what is involved in a refresher course? How can we sharpen all the teachers that we have? So we are looking at retooling and having these trainings for teachers in existing schools on pedagogy assessment and integration of literacy. The literacy labs are really more or less like a reading club where you just give yourself targets in schools to say, well, probably we're going to have quizzes on school. So most of this information is really interfacing with BELEP officers, and then the schools that they will identify and submit, and then we'll be able to run some of these trainings on how teachers can actually sharpen their skill for basic education to empower our children. And like Frederick rightly said, teachers are not common people, and common people are really not teachers. So we want to look at this. How do we empower these uncommon people to make them extraordinary people that impact good education to our students and children who are studying? Next priority area 3. All right, so priority area 3 is increasing accessibility to basic education. And we have about 5 things under here. 1, we want to create awareness in parents, proprietors, directors, and head teachers. We're already running a campaign of collecting different contacts from all Rotarians that have anything they are working with in the education sector. We want to start with the schools that we already have, because these are low-hanging fruits in our views. It is easier to reach a school where you have a Rotarian who understands the program than visiting a school that is completely new and hasn't actually heard about you. So I want to start with the education sectors where our own people, the Rotarians, are at. And we know that even with them, they have networks, so we'll be able to spread out and reach out to more schools. And so we want to create awareness with the proprietors and head teachers. We know that some people are in this because they are very involved, very interested in education. But we also know that some head directors are in the education sector because of business. But we want to say, where is the leveled ground? Where do we come? Where do we meet? Yeah, what is the most important? What is at stake? This is the learning and understanding, comprehension of our students, of our pupils. When you ask me about comprehension, I'll give you a very good example. Many of us saw a certain clip that was rotating on the internet, on NBS. It was live. It was covering a graduation ceremony at campus at Makerere University. And one of the student that had graduated was asked, because she had along with her a few members of her family and people that looked like they were either her younger sisters or her brothers. So Samson Kasumba asks, oh, so are these your siblings? And the lady that was graduating was able to reply and said, oh no, these are my sisters, you know. So when you comprehend English and comprehending, we have graduates that may not understand certain key words. Why? Because we believe they could have missed out on reading some of these words. The vocabulary was not able to be attained at a certain level, and unfortunately they could be embarrassed. Now, the girl was embarrassed at a very national platform. I really felt sorry for her, but there's nothing you could do about it because it was live. It was a live event. So we want to encourage directors, proprietors to understand the importance of reading, to understand, not reading to pass and get marks and get exams. I remember a certain teacher who told me, you don't have to understand, just read and pass. And this was a teacher in one of my schools, yeah, that I attended to. And she was telling not me alone, the whole class, yeah, we want grades. We want you to pass. We want you to appear in newspapers. Yes, indeed we appeared, but at what cost? Yeah, I don't know where some of my colleagues are, probably because they didn't understand certain things, but they passed. You know, you give a job to a fresh graduate, and there are key things they do not understand. And you're wondering, but you got a first class. How did you do that? Those are things we want to iron out with comprehension in reading, and it starts from the low levels of education. So I want to create awareness in parents, I want to create the awareness in proprietors. We want to engage parents in community engagement as a Rotary Club. You could station and say, we're going to this Kamocha community. We're going to work with probably the local leaders. We want to engage the parents to understand what are their challenges. Those who can read, how can they be helped? Those who cannot read, how cannot be helped? The other week, I just had a very interesting dialogue with someone who had done homework for the child. And when the child took the homework to school, apparently all the answers were, I think, more wrong than correct, you know? So the next time the child took back homework home for the parent to help them, the parent was like, Sibidam, the other time I helped you and you failed. So this time, nada. The parent said, I'm not doing anything. So that shows you that there's something that is missing between the schools and the parents. There is a gap. A child is coming back home at about 5 p.m. Where is the time for play? Where is the time for just being a child? And then they have all this homework that is so much, you know, and they're supposed to sleep probably by 8 or 9 o'clock so that they have their 8 hours of sleep. And then you're wondering, you're waking up at 5, the van is picking them at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or the parent is dropping them at 6:30. And you're wondering, where is the time for the child to develop, the brain to relax? You just left school at 5. You're doing homework between 5:30 and probably 8 when you're going to bed. So these are issues we would want to have dialogues on so that parents can also voice their frustrations in their dealings with schools. That much as they need their children to pass and understand, the school has to change a few things for them to empower both the parents and the students at home. So all this is empowered is included in awareness programs that a club can get creative with in terms of engaging the parents as well as the schools. Then we're hoping to sponsor children. There are many Rotary clubs that already have a school probably that they're taking care of. My own club, the Rotary Club of Nigeria, had adopted this program way back about 4 years ago. And we're hoping to continue, revive it in more power than ever, and ensure that all the students that we're taking care of actually even increase more, bring more to the board. And initially we had various considerations. Who is the brightest? Can they get a free education in the next class? Who are the vulnerable? Who are probably the orphans? And, you know, just be creative with the students that you can help attain an education through sponsorship. It is very motivating for a child to know that if I'm number 1 or if I'm in the best 5, I'm going to have a free meal, or I'm going to have a free education, or I'm going to get a gift like a bag, probably I'm going to get a gift of shoes. You know, it is just motivation. So look at sponsorship at various levels as a Rotary Club and say, okay, we are picking on this school. How many students or how many pupils would we want to work with? And you just can never underestimate the impact that it can have on a child that you will have picked on. We have Kagis, that means keeping a girl in school, and would like to empower guardians and mothers to see how best can they ensure that they keep girls in school. We have so many girls that drop out in school or miss school days because they're in administration periods, and especially for lack of sanitary towels. So we are saying, in a bid to actually save the environment, but also help to keep children in schools, can we promote reusable pads? So as a Rotary Club, you could work probably with an organization that is ensuring that girls keep in school. You could work towards teaching girls in terms of making menstruation sanitary pads rather. You could work towards counseling and helping them understand that being in your monthly periods is normal, because this is at the age where, that age bracket where we are targeting. Most of the children who are girls start their monthly periods at about 9 years, 10 years, yeah? So they could be wondering, what is happening to me, yeah? Is this normal? So we are looking at engaging with schools and reaching out to them and explaining to them that no, it is very normal, it happens. up to this time of your life, this is how you can manage it. Because even if you have sanitary pads, but you do not know how to actually maintain the hygiene, you can actually fall sick. And we have 20% of girls dropping out of schools because of the administration periods. So we were saying as Rotarians, how can we reduce on this number? 20%, you can imagine. Then we're hoping to enhance e-learning and support learning structures both at home and school. COVID-19 left us with many lessons. I spoke to so many parents who said, when schools resume, I'm going to give teachers all the money they need because, man, it is very hard to teach. I know, I have also experienced it. I am a parent, and all the homework they would give my firstborn in terms of sitting down and working and going through it, whew, I needed patience. So how do we learn and adopt to actually teach our children? Because many times when you do not understand what the teachers go through, probably you do not appreciate their efforts. But once you have been there, done it, you get to understand on another level. So we are saying, how can you as a parent encourage your child to read? Can you give them a gadget? Can you put internet and then probably limit it to certain sections? All right, let me come. I'm in a meeting. Okay, excuse me about that. So how can you encourage readership, whether online or away from home, at home? Just be creative. Then on career guidance and support, we have so many people that are probably losing a way of life because they were not properly guided, all right? So we are saying, as Rotarians, as Rotary clubs, in the schools that you're working with, can you pick on a program of career guidance and development? And can we not forget the boys? There is so much about girls that is being promoted that sometimes I worry for the boy child. We're preparing girls for so much and then handing them over probably in life, later in life, to the boy child that is probably been ignored or expected to be a man and learn all these things on his own. And that's why they end up making mistakes. So let us offer career guidance to both girls and boys. Let's not buy gifts of only dolls on birthdays for girls. Let's buy them planes, let's buy them ships, let's buy them all the things that we buy for the girls, and empower all of them at once and make them understand that even from a young level, don't just buy kitchenware, but buy the things that cut across, so we empower all of them at once. And of course, supporting the environment, water and sanitation, planting trees. You know that when you have trees around the school, it creates that ambience that is cool. You can actually sit under a tree, read a book, probably put a seat under it. So all this is a lot for one Rotary club to handle. But as a Rotary club, you can pick on an activity that best resonates with what you would want to do. What we want is the end goal. How have you enhanced reading? Are you going through the parents' channel? Are you working with directors to empower them? Are you sponsoring a child to attain education? Are you buying pads or enabling a making of reusable pads? Are you working with parents probably with income generation activities so that they can have some money or to like really improve their socioeconomic status, especially in terms of money? Are you going to conduct trainings of adult literacy? Are you working with children with disabilities or children that are able differently, you know, so that you empower them at a certain level? We are working with a partner, and actually the launch of the Dear Day is happening at the School of the Deaf in Ntinda. So we're looking at how do you bring people on board. So it's up to a Rotary club through the BELEP officers to pick on what activity they can actually, is best probably comfortable for them as a club to carry out and adopt. Yes, thank you, Frederick. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Frederick, are you there? Okay, perfect. So this is the last priority area, and that is working to influence policy change and make basic education a priority. We are really advocating for ECD centers. We all, okay, not all of us might know, but if you watched on news, our government is not in charge of the early childhood education.
Online, come on,
hello? So we would want to advocate to the government and say, please, by the time a child is 6 years, there is so much that they have actually missed out on. Just imagine you have a child that has been going to kindergarten from 3 years, and then you have another child that is joining your school, at 6 years, and they have never seen a blackboard. They do not understand. They don't know A to Z. They don't know how to count. Numerous is 0. And you're the teacher and you're in this class and you're supposed to explain to these pupils the same things and they understand. It is very challenging, very frustrating. So we are saying, can government, as the biggest funder, can government take this up? Can we have facilitation? Can we have at least 1% of the budget allocated to ECD centers? Yeah. Can we look at involving more children at a younger stage to actually enroll in ECD centers rather than making them or leaving them to the private sector where we encourage a bigger divide of society? So this one, we're engaging with policymakers because we know it's a policy issue. At a higher level, we're engaging Ministry of Education and Sports officials to see how best can we bring it on the table, yeah, to the parliament floor and debate about it and advocate for it and say that we have a change and we encourage more people to join the program. So yes, that is what we have on this priority area. If you have Rotarians who are already in this kind of department, it would be good to work with you and see that we push this agenda as early as possible and ensure that we can actually attain this goal of having more pupils being supported to attend early childhood centers. They may not be examined with homework and tests, but they will learn. They will learn so many things that are key from 0 to 5 years when a brain is learning 90% of the things that they will later use in life. You might say you don't learn everything when you're young, true, but you get the capacity to be able to learn and comprehend more things when you're older. So that is the main goal here. And I think with this is the close of the activities under all the general areas of focus. Thank you, Frederick. Back to you, Frederick.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Rotarian Sandra. I told you ladies add color to all that we need to do and they add perspective. Just one little thing that I want to add on is what is it that will indicate, what are the critical indicators that we are looking at? I did tell you that our target is, for example, to donate 1 million readers. If we donate more than this, then we'll have indicated that we have actually done progress. We know if we are able to improve the enrollment into our early childhood development centers, that actually lies at 38%. Pause for one moment. Only 38% of the children that are supposed to go in basic education, in early childhood development are accessing. Where is the 62%? So can we increase this statistic from 38 maybe to something, you know? And then if we are able to bring down the dropout of our primary school children and increase the enrollment into secondary school so that more than 25% can access. But the whole essence is we want to interface with at least 500 teachers. We want to empower 500 teachers, build their capacity and change their way of doing basic education and literacy. We want to engage with as many parents as possible, but tangible, we want to look at 500 of them. We look at working in not less than 100 communities. These include schools and other communities. So Rotarians, let's get attached to schools. And if you need help in getting attached to the school, please do not die alone. You just shout and we'll be able to come to you and see how best we can help. We have a database of school proprietors across the country, and they are willing to work with Rotary clubs. So if you are facing a challenge getting attached to a school, please shout. We'll come to see to it that you get attached, because all these activities are going to be happening in our communities, in our schools, but they all have to stem from our Rotary clubs. Thank you very much, Sandra. Colleagues, you heard about the DEAR Day. DEAR standing for drop everything and read. You know, in a way of making our reading culture, in a way of improving our reading culture, we want to send a message out there that reading is actually very, very, very important. This is why we are starting. We are actually doing our launch, but our start-off project is going to be the DEAR Day. Yesterday, I did share the flyers that have already been out that we'll be using to promote the DEAR Day. But I want to invite my friend, my brother, my colleague, Martin from Peer Corps. Peer Corps, really Martin Mulwana. Peer Corps is really an entity that is leading us in the DEAR Day. And why Peer Corps? They have done DEAR Day, I think, for quite a number of years, over 4. Martin will clarify all this. And we believe in this concept. And we want to rally ourselves as Rotarians and as Rotary clubs to encourage and give support and put our weight as Rotarians, being the forces of change, to enhancing literacy. So right about now, I would like to invite you, Martin Mulwana, if you can kindly come in and clearly tell us a lot more, not a little, a lot more on the DEAR Day. What is this? What are the activities? What are we going to be doing? How are we going to do it? And all that. You are even free to share precisely who are the parties involved in the DEAR Day. I did share the partners, but you can mention a lot also on this. So Martin, you are welcome, and over to you.
Thank you, Frederick. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear Rotarians. Thank you for inviting me to this very important meeting. My name is Martin Mulwana from Peace Corps, Uganda. Frederick, I'll correct you on that. It is Peace, then Corps with an S. So I'm very honored to be speaking to you about reading, and specifically the reading initiative dubbed the National DEAR Day. Allow me to share my screen. I'm going to be presenting something small so you'll get an understanding of what DEAR Day is about. So like I said, I work with Peace Corps Uganda, and I'm here with my colleague Emily Lamwaka. She's also a Rotarian, but she runs the education program at Peace Corps Uganda. So very briefly, Peace Corps is an agency of the US government that works through American volunteers to promote world peace and friendship. But specifically today, I'm here to talk about DEAR Day. So what is DEAR Day? Like Frederick rightly mentioned, DEAR Day stands for Drop Everything and Read. And it's been running since 2014. It's an initiative that was started by Peace Corps Uganda in partnership with the Ministry of Education and Sports, the US Embassy, USAID, Enjuba Spelling Bee, Mango Tree, KCCA, among other partners. And we specifically work with schools, agencies, and organizations that do work in the education sector. I want to start off by saying that this year, the National DEAR Day will be held on 1st July. I'm sure Frederick has already mentioned this to you, and as you saw on our flyers. In the past years, we've been holding it typically in the first term, but because of the COVID interruptions, we didn't think it prudent to bump too much activity in the first term when schools are just reopened. That's why we pushed it to the 1st of July. And it also was in line with when we met with Frederick and the district governor, Honorable Sebalu. They asked that we push it to that date because we were made to understand that that's the day that the the Rotary year starts. So we thought that it would be a very great opportunity to partner with such a great organization to work towards achieving the same goal. And in brainstorming about a theme, Honorable Sebal came up with a couple of ideas, and one that typically stood out was the theme of imagine reading as a way of life. Sandra and Frederick have already been talking so much about reading and the statistics and the problems that have come about because Ugandans generally don't read. So how much impact would it be if we made reading part of our daily lives, not just the children, but even us as the adults, us as leaders, us as opinion leaders, us as people that the children look up to. So that's why we agreed that the theme will be reading as a way, imagine reading as a way of life. So for Dear Day, what we are looking at basically is that people all over the country will be encouraged to put time aside, at the very least 30 minutes, starting at 11 a.m. to read something. They may read a book, they may read newspapers, a Bible, a Quran, whatever it is. But as long as they are being very intentional within this time to be reading something. So we believe that getting Ugandans to read together at the same time sends a very powerful message about the importance of reading and the benefits of reading and literacy through this really low cost but high impact initiative. So I had Sandra mention a bit of statistics about reading, and there is quite a lot out there, and all of it I would say is not very encouraging. I just picked a sample of something that I got from the UESO National Learning Assessment Report for 2021. And one thing that two or three things that stood out for me was the percentage of school children in the classes P3 to P7 who have full competence to read a P2 level English story, P2. So just imagine that we have maybe children in P5 or P6 or even P7, and they struggle because if it's showing 39.5%, that means that about 60% struggle to read and comprehend a P2 level English story. The other number that stood out for me was that 11.6% of school children, all school children in Uganda, at the stage that we refer to as non-reader. That means they are not able to read and comprehend anything. The third example there is that because of the COVID situation, really, there was an increase in the number of children who are aged 8. Children who are aged 8 would ideally be maybe P2 or maybe P3, who are aged 8 years that are considered to be non-readers. So this number rose from 32%, 32.8% in 2018 to 50.7% in 2021. So these numbers just, for me, speak to the fact that we need to double our efforts to encourage reading. And I'm glad that the Rotary Club of Uganda is very intentional. You put in a lot of effort, a lot of planning to see that you get this moving in the right direction. So going back to Dear Day, you may want to know, why should we promote reading? Why should we be paying attention to reading? There are a number of reasons. I won't mention them all, but I listed just a few here. So reading helps develop verbal abilities, especially for children. Some people have said that if you read to your child, even before they are born as mothers, it will really help stimulate their brain. It will help them with being able to speak early. Another thing is reading improves focus and concentration. Because if you're reading, you want to understand what you're reading. And if you're reading in a noisy environment, it's very hard for you to concentrate. So if you're training your brain to focus and concentrate, in a way you're building it up. Reading, of course, spurs imagination and creativity. We've read books about princes and horses and snow and things like that. As a Ugandan who has never seen snow, who has never maybe ridden a horse or whatever, I'm able to imagine, I'm able to think, I'm able to be creative in my mind and maybe aspire to go to places where there is snow. Like I mentioned earlier, reading also helps with critical thinking. And for some people who like reading, it's a stress reliever. Certainly reading provides entertainment. Those of you who read novels or who read magazines and newspapers, there's a lot of entertainment that is in there. And then of course, reading informs. You're able to understand what's happening and what happened in the past. Okay. So as partners, what can we do? There are two things that we ask of all of us here because we are all partners in this. First, get people interested about DRD. Explain what it is. Talk to friends, talk to everyone in your circles. Some of you are parents, some of you are teachers, some of you are in the business community, you have children, you are local leaders, you have community groups that you meet at. Please talk to them about this important day, but generally also about the importance of reading. And secondly, we ask that you participate. So we have a couple of ways that you can participate, some of which you've already mentioned. I know that as specific Rotary clubs, you have planned activities, but some of those that we suggest, invite a guest reader. Imagine, say the district governor came and visited the primary school somewhere in a community. How much impact would that make and impression would that give to the children to see somebody that important coming to read to them a story for 30 minutes? So some of you I know hold very high positions, you're highly regarded in society. Offer yourself to be a guest reader. And as a guest reader, you can donate books. As a club, you can donate books. Sandra and Frederick have been talking about all these plans of donating books and what up to a tune of 1 million. That is something that we really appreciate. As Peace Corps and all the other partners that are in this, we are encouraging that everyone donates books, because one of the things that maybe we struggle with is lack of materials, lack of reading materials. Yes, the school might have a whole library full of textbooks, but there is nothing for them to read for pleasure. So donate books like that. Yes, you can donate maybe textbooks, but really encourage that you donate readers, what we call readers. We have some publicity materials, we have posters, we have stickers. Frederick has already shared with you some of those things that can be shared on social media. Please distribute those within your circles. Then very importantly, we also ask that you report on the DEAR activities that you have participated in as a group, or if you work with a school, please give that information. Later on, as I close, I'll post what we call the reporting kit, the DEAR kit, that explains all this information that I'm giving here and how to report. Okay, so what are some of the things that you should be thinking through as you plan for DRD? Of course, you want to know what
I don't know whether it is me, but Martin, we seem to have lost you.
It could be about his network. I think he's unmuted.
Yeah, I think it is a network issue. And I can see he has actually dropped off, but I'm certain that he will be back, like most of us say. So let's hang in for a moment. I'm sure Martin will be back. but all he was really emphasizing is about our participation on the Dear Day. He was actually addressing himself to the kit, which kit I have actually already shared on our BELEP platform. I'm sure that we have all accessed that kit. And of course, reading is also a challenge to us adults. So please take time and read that kit. So that is, I hope you can see my screen. That is the flyer that he encourages us to, the soft copy of the flyer that he encourages us to share across. Just a moment, just a moment. Okay, sorry, I was responding to Martin. He says he has lost network, but he will be joining us shortly. So friends, number one, feel free to share this kit across our networks, but also we need to donate books, and we are banking on us Rotarians. We can really do a lot in way of contributing towards purchasing books that can be used to enhance reading, because some clubs reading is some schools and communities do not have things to read. And again, like I rightly said, those that have these reading materials, they have read them over and over again, that they have nothing useful to really get out of this. I'm trying to see whether Martin is back again. Martin, if you're back, you kindly let us know so we can allow you space to conclude your submission. But also, friends, I want to, at this point, there is a toolkit that has been shared, and it is very important that we report on these Dear Day events. I want to really clarify on this. It is going to be a satellite event. What do I mean by this? We are encouraging clubs wherever you will be. Please work with the schools. You can actually get a Zoom. We shall have a Zoom link. We can allow you access into this, but you are doing it as a satellite. We shall have one central point. So allow me welcome you, Martin, again, to hand over this platform to you, and I will unshare my screen so that you can share yours and conclude your submission. I see Emily Rwamwaka, your hand is up, but maybe Martin will allow you space. Martin, over to you.
Sorry about that. For some reason, I can't connect with my computer, but let me just continue with my presentation. I'm unable to share it right now, but let me hope you will all hear me clearly. So I was saying that for some of the considerations for organizing for that day, think about the activities you can do, think about who you can invite, then think about what reading resources you will need. Some schools, like I mentioned, have materials already. They probably have a consignment of books in the library. They have maybe newspapers or whatever. So think when you're preparing, go and check out what do they have that they can use to do the reading. Then if they don't have adequate materials, is there a need for you to maybe go to a public library and borrow some? Is there a need for you to mobilize through your club or whoever to donate towards giving towards buying books or donating books, really old books, to the school so that they can use them for Dear Day? Then we have a few activities that they can actually do, and this is specific for mostly schools. There's what we call silent reading, and this is where somebody sits alone and reads the book to themselves. There's what we call buddy reading, where somebody reads to another person as the other person listens. This can be expanded to a smaller group, where somebody, maybe one person reads to a group of 3 to 5 other members. Oh, is that echo coming from me? Okay.
Go ahead, Martin. but you might need to unmute.
Sorry. I was saying that you can also invite a guest speaker or a guest reader, somebody influential, somebody that the children can look up to go and read a book to them. The importance of this is that it inspires and you know, it causes them to aspire to be like that person. And of course, as a guest reader, you want to speak to why reading is important, probably testify on how you've gotten to where you are because of reading. The other idea is to introduce word games, because word games, in a way, tie into the ability to be able to read. If you cannot put words together, then you cannot form sentences, then you cannot, you know, comprehend what a sentence means. So word games are also a good way to make the reading event fun. And lastly, you can do music, dance, and drama, or even poems about reading. These are activities that we've done. They are simple, but they're exciting, and they really shine a light on the importance of reading. Then for reporting, reporting is very important because as partners, our line ministry really is the Ministry of Education and Sports. And for any activity that we do, we don't do it for the sake of doing it, but we do it for, you know, to assess, are we making an impact? Are we, who has been reached, and is there any importance in doing this? So getting the data on who participates, where they are located, is very important. I did mention that I'll share with you a toolkit, and that it details all this information. When I get back onto my computer, I'll be able to share it in the chat. So in conclusion, Dear Day is going to be held on 1st of July. The national event is going to be held at the Mulago School for the Deaf, not in Tinda. I wanted to correct that. And you're all invited to come and participate. Thank you very much. I'll welcome any questions. But in the meantime, let me try to get back onto my computer so that I can share the toolkit. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Martin, for sharing a lot of insights about the Dear Day, for which we've had very many questions and clarifications sought. But don't you worry, I just want to let you know that I've already shared the toolkit on our BELEP platform, where I believe all the colleagues and comrades on this call are. So all of us should have had this, but nonetheless, go ahead and share it on this chat so that we can all have it. Again, just to request that you can stay put, we request that colleagues jot down all their questions, and at the end of this session, for us to redeem time, we'll be able to give them space to voice their questions and concern to the respective presenters. And I know that my friend and my brother, Comrade Damzungu, will be reading us in our Q&A session in a short while. So right about now, friends, I would like to yet again invite Sandra. Sandra, I would like you to precisely give us the structure. I did mention at the beginning that this whole basic education and literacy enhancement program will be run across and through Rotary clubs. So how does this structure flow? What do we expect of Rotary clubs? Where is the place of buddy groups? Where is the place of BELEP officers? Where is the place of the president? Where is the place of the project director? Where is the place of all of us as colleagues? Where is the place of the AG? Where is the place of the BELEP team and all this? I would like to request you, Sandra, yet again, in the next few minutes, 5 or 10 or so, if you can kindly shed some light on how we intend to, on how this whole BELEP intervention is structured and how we expect it to run as clubs. Sandra, if you're there, over to you.
Right. Thank you, Frederick. BELEP is existing in Rotary through Rotary clubs.
All
right.
Sandra, I think the branch of the tree that you had clung on previously could have broken. You might need to get another one because we can hardly hear you. Your network is really not good.
Like I mentioned earlier,
Sandra, you have network challenges. We cannot hear you. Maybe you can try to get better connection and then come back to us. But in the meantime, I'll stand in the gap. Colleagues and comrades, this is what we request of Rotary clubs. Number one, we request you to appoint BELEP officers. Why? Events and updates are flowing in, day out. You just had the updates about the Dear Day, and we would like clubs to be informed as much as possible. So we request that you appoint BELEP officers and have them on the BELEP platform. But also, you as the president, as the leader of the club, we also request that do not lie back and miss out on all things. You could lie back and expect that all is well when actually things are not okay. So it is our humble request that you really ensure that you keep this. This is really the place of BELEP officers. And again, also, when we talk about management of BELEP, I know that clubs are doing, and you have many other programs and projects that you are implementing that are definitely under your projects director. So we believe that the BELEP officer is a member of the projects committee who will keep you informed, and maybe who will also get deeper engaged with the projects team to see that how do whatever we want to do fit into the BELEP activities and the BELEP initiatives. And to this, you have the district. Yes, Sandra, are you back?
Sandra, yes, I'm back. Sorry about my network.
Fantastic.
Yes, can you hear me?
And we can hear you loud and clear. Just go ahead.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Frederick. So the BELEP projects in the Rotary clubs, which we rate our own run as a BELEP program. We're hoping that every BELEP officer will sit on the projects committee or the projects department or directorate in all the Rotary clubs. And we're hoping that once we have all clubs submit their BELEP officers, we will have networks, scheduled meetings for us to always update ourselves on how far we are, probably on finding schools, activities in clubs, in the communities, to just sharpen ourselves and support each other. We're also looking at a database where every Rotary club and whichever activity you have done, you're able to upload and update us so that it is in implementation of. So this database will be shared by the BELEP team with all BELEP officers to ensure that we do not miss out on every club we'll be going through. Community mobilization to participate in BELEP initiatives through Rotary clubs. If you have Rotary engagements, probably training teachers, training schools, that information will be required to also update us on the as Rotary, as a district. I would also request through the BELEP officers who will have submitted the particular schools they are working with to identify teachers that can be supported to upgrade. So we're hoping that probably if we have, for example, 100 schools, and 100 schools are each submitting probably 3 teachers that are seen to have a need for upgrading so that they can better teach the students or the pupils later on. They'll go through a training course and they'll be able to go back and share the knowledge with other teachers. We may not even training kits that they can actually go back and share with the rest. Like we may encourage pupils and teachers, you can identify a school that you want to work with for only 1 year as a project, or you first segment it, say 1 year, and possible for extension.
So sorry, Sandra, network again has not done you justice, but I must say we appreciate your submissions, and we hope that you will be back again to add more clarification during the Q&A session.
I'm back.
In the interest of time, I would like...
I'm back.
Sandra, you have 2 minutes to wind up.
All right. Are you sharing that screen again? Frederick, are you sharing the screen? Yes, so the other point of interaction or in grant application, the officers who can in turn share with the presidents, members, and Rotaractors and interested parties. And then finally, we hope that all Rotary clubs can participate in the Dear Day. This is the main launch and the start of the program of BELEP. And this is happening on 1st of July. We'll keep reminding you. We're going to put reminders. We're going to share. We're going to visit. We're visiting many clubs to just promote Dear Day. So Dear Day, once again, is Drop Everything and Learn at 11 a.m. So we are hoping you will schedule and work through the schools as well as Rotary clubs to actually participate on the Dear Day. The Rotary clubs can adopt more than one school. For example, we have birthday groups, yeah, in most of the Rotary clubs. So a Rotary club that has 5 birthday groups could probably align or assign one birthday group to a particular school, just at least for the Dear Day, so that we can just increase the level of sensitization and awareness to just create more understanding on why it's relevant and important that we understand what we read, and that is what we crown as literacy. Frederick? Frederick, are you there?
Okay. Yes, I am. And thank you very much, Sandra, for that. I just want to add a little more clarification on this, just to add a few things. Where is the place of the AG? As an AG, this is what we request of you for starters. Do your clubs understand BELEP? If not, you can bring them together, especially the presidents and the BELEP officers, and invite any of us, the BELEP team, to talk to them and be able to guide and shed a little more light on where they need clarification. We really have limited time for us to start to engage, but we are more than happy to come and give support. But also as an AG, as you do the numerous visits onto these clubs, as you continuously engage with these clubs, remember, among the other parameters that you're checking, remember to check in, how far are you on the BELEP? Where do you need support and all that? That will be really, really very, very helpful indeed. The BELEP team, I don't have to say much. Ours really is to offer as much support as we can to all, not some, to all Rotary clubs, because our request is that when you look at these activities, friends, you can agree with me that all clubs can afford to do a particular engagement in BELEP. Really, I believe this. So with the 100 clubs we have in District 9213 so far, I'll be so glad that we can all get engaged in BELEP. So ladies and gentlemen, I really want us to redeem time for our Q&A session. I want to use only less than 15 minutes to do 3 things. Number one, I want to make brief mention on the prizes that we intend to be given. Number 3, to talk a little more about resource mobilization and be able to share with you some of the office bearers that we have and what could be their roles in this, so that you know who are the people behind this BELEP and what are they doing in their respective capacities. So to start with, I would like to talk about the rewards and prizes that we have been talking. I don't know, can we request, friends, that we all keep our microphones and mute, muted, so that we can be able to have a good engagement. So if you're not presenting, friends, and the co-hosts, you can also help mute. Thank you very, very, very much. So friends,
Abaro is we are muting Abaro.
I'm afraid Abaroi, we might have to put Abaroi out of the room, because I think most of the I think I'm going to request that we put Abaroi out of the room so that we can have an engagement. Yeah, okay, so we can proceed. Thank you very much, co-host, for managing that. So I'm sorry, colleagues, for that hitch-up. Friends, as you very well know, that in the month of September, if I remember well, and the Rotary and district leaders here, my colleagues, can guide me and correct me on this, that I think from the 3rd, I don't remember the dates very well, 3rd to 11th, we shall have the Rotary International President, Jennifer Jones, visit both District 9214 and District 9213 jointly. And one of the activities we intend to do, you rightly heard that we're going to have a national essay writing competition. And we would like to have rewards and prizes presented to people that would have done outstandingly well. The schools, the children that you will be able to mobilize as clubs. We have set up a jury team on a regional level. And again, like I told you, we are working with the Ministry of Education. We have structures. Ministry has representatives across districts. So we are working with all the districts. So we have a jury team that is why it is important for you to keep us updated, so that our database, our monitoring and evaluation tool is continuously updated, so that we know which school is doing what. If you have engaged into a national essay writing competition, a national reading competition, we want at this event to come to send through the jury team to come and be able to identify some of the material that you have written, and the winners will be awarded by the Rotary International President, Jennifer Jones, when she is down here. So we'll communicate to you in due course, because I think the program is yet to be fine-tuned, but we have presented our requests and have been accepted by the district governor, and they're going to be put on calendar. So the most important thing to know is we want to be able to reward and recognize people, but not only in September. We'll continue to do this across the Rotary year. So I really wanted you to know about that. Then we come to the aspect of financing. Colleagues, I would like to say, and this question has come to us very many times, you very well know that club activities and interventions are mainly financed by the clubs. But we would like to encourage you to get partners as much as you can to help support in financing some of these activities. We will come alongside you. You may want us to present to your partner. You may want us to clarify issues to your partner. on what is this all about, and we are happy. You may want official documents, you may want write-ups. I've seen clubs that have asked for support in putting concept notes together to present to their partners in regard to this. Yes, we are happy and glad to support in this area as much as we can. Of course, as you know, our district pocket is very limited, and it is really focused on doing some few things. But having said that, I would like to let you know that we are putting together a global grant. And this global grant is actually to help us do a little more of these activities. Where is your place as a Rotary Club? We are looking for clubs that can help us raise a minimum of $2,500. And you will definitely get back more than this, more or less closely similar to the Vijana Power concept, but a little different. But in the interest of time, I will let you know to the detail. This is a very big grant that we have put together. It has already been, I'll give you just a small update, has been given a vote of no objection from the grants district team, and they have okayed our concept note. We are at a place where we are finalizing talks and engagements with international partners that will help us. And this is normally the hardest bit. And once we have closed in with the international partners, we will be looking for clubs. We are looking for a minimum. We would love to have all clubs, but we need a minimum of 25 clubs for us to be able to have our semantics rock out this. And the minimum contribution is $2,500. And we will be engaging in all those activities that you have seen. This is not with or without this global grant. You can continue to do the activities that we have talked about. But this is really to come along and be able to cement and make sure that the critical stones are turned, the critical I's are dotted, and the critical T's are crossed to ensure that there is really effort in all these areas. So talk to your clubs. If you would consider being a part of this global grant, we can have in-depth discussions and clarification and to your club, or no, when you contribute 25,000, definitely you will be supported across all these activities. But what is your role as a club? And we'll come really closer to sharing a little more detail on this. I thought these are some of the financing options that are available, but I would like to clearly state that we are benchmarking on clubs. As always, as the norm has been, clubs, we do finance our interventions and activities. We have limited resourcing from the district, but I'm sure this cannot be a limiting factor. But I know that there are a lot of partners. You rightly heard, we have Makere as a partner, we have IRID as a partner, and many others. So as a club, you can talk to your partners. Some of you already have partners who are supporting you in many, many ways. For example, I know Kasangati, Harris International is supporting you in many, many of your activities. You can talk to them. I'm among all these activities on BELEP. How can you support us? This is just as an example that I wanted to share with you for clarification. And then, friends, I would like to end by sharing with you the officers that we are working with on the BELEP team. This is still being improved and developed. We need to have a winning team, but we have colleagues that we are working with very, very, very closely. And I would like to share my screen so that you can get to see who are these colleagues that have really, really supported and continue and have pledged their support as we go along this engagement. So if you hang in for me for just a second, I will need to share this for just 1 second. Okay. I don't know. Can you see my screen?
No.
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 We can't see.
You can't see. I can't see. You can't. You can see my screen. It is projecting the program, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but the
Yes.
figures are so faint.
Okay. So now I was just confirming that you can see my screen. Just one moment. is something I need to project. So you can get to know who are the officers that we are entrusting this. So when they reach out to you, you know that, oh yes, these are authentic people that have been presented to us. Okay, I believe you can see my screen now. And I'm trying to, can you see my screen? Just wait.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, those are the officials that we are working with. I did mention that I have a privilege of really leading this team under the assistance of Rotarian Caroline Kavuma from the Rotary Club of Sonde. And we have regional representatives. The only representative that we are remaining to fill is the northern side. And again, I will communicate this person. We're going to be in talks with our LG Gerard Obai to get hands-on person who will guide us on this. But we have Peter Damuzungu from Rotary Club of Bujiri, who is actually our representative in the Eastern. We have West Nile, Rotarian Sharon Ralam from the Changemaker President, Arua Ekosite. We have the Western Coordinator, our Changemaker President, Milton Asingwire. And Milton Asingwire doubles in two capacities. The Global Grant District team has appointed him to guide us and be the key contact person on our global grant. We have technical advisors, Rotarian May Valji and Hamida Ketani. They have really been influential in the area of early childhood development, but they continue to give us guidance and support. We have our consultant and fallback position, Professor Muwanga Mugaga Anthony, who is the principal of the College of Education, together with the Dr. David Kabugo, who is the Director of Research for Initiative College of Makerere University. And we have social media consultants, Rotarian James Onwen, who is going to be working hand in hand with the district social media party, Michael. And then we have definitely Sandra, who has been speaking to us. And again, we have Nelson Kawama, who is again our guide when it comes to the global grant. So friends, this is a team so far that has really been very influential and is available to give as much support in as far as BELEP is concerned. Those are their contacts. You are welcome to reach out to them in their respective. We are here to help. We'll share these details on our BELEP platform by close of business today, so you'll be able to get to know who these people are. So I want to say thank you very much. Our time is really fast spent, and I don't want to take this a little more further. I know you have burning questions, and I thought we'd spend the next 40 minutes answering all our questions so that we don't leave anything unaddressed, and we don't leave clubs wondering how best they can really support. All the presenters are still on call. I know Martin. Martin, are you still with us? Just to confirm.
Yes, I am.
Yes, Martin, are you still with us? Martin, yes, I can see you're still here with us. Dr. David Kabugo, are you still with us?
I am on.
Awesome. Sandra, are you still with us? Okay, I think Sandra will come to us at some point, but I will definitely stand in case anything relates on she's not able to respond. Right about now, I would like to invite you, Changemaker President Peter Damuzungu, all the way from Rotary Club of Bujiri, the BELEP officer in charge of the Eastern region. Kindly guide us on our Q&A session.
I'm listening.
So that we can be able to respond to questions and comments from our colleagues on call. Over to you, Peter Damuzungu.
Thank you so much, Chair, for the deliberations so far. So far, so good. And I want to thank all the other colleagues here for the good presentations they have made. I think as BELEP officers, as president-elects, as AGs, we've learned a lot. This is now the time to voice your questions, your comments, I've noted we have quite a number of them in the chat room, and I've also noted that the presenters have been giving comments on a few of them in the chat room. But for now, I want to request those who have burning questions, any comments, please, you can raise up your hand and you voice your views. I'll start with Sebagala Moses. I can see your hand up. Please be brief and precise. Let's not take a lot of time. Thank you.
Thank you
Over
very
to you,
much.
Moses.
Yes, thank you very much. Is skilling part of BELEP? For example, if you want to empower maybe young mothers or young fathers, is it part of it? Maybe in reading and or skilling? Kindly guide me on that. Thank you so much. I submit.
Thank you so much, Moses. I think you've set the pace. Questions should be very brief and short to save time on other people to ask. Please, you can raise up your hand and shoot your question. In the meantime, I can go through the chat room. There are a few questions there that I note. One of them is from Maina. Thanks for the presentation and the program ideas shared with respect to schools, clubs. With respect to schools, clubs select, does it then mean the school needs status is not a major criteria of selection? As such, we can also work with middle or high-end schools for BELEP activities. Minor, you'll be answered. There is another question here. Is scaling part of BELEP? For example, that's to say, helping young people and adults to acquire a skill. How about doing adult learning? I think this has been raised by Moses. Then there is one from Ismail Kawoya from RC Kulambiro. Are there plans to support clubs in monitoring and evaluation their efforts? Will this be through the BELEP officers? Ismail, that is noted. PAG Mebra, Rabbi from RC.
Peter Namzungu.
Yes, please.
I have a request that can we take a set of 3 questions in a set of 3 by 3 so that we don't miss out any question. When they become too many, we miss them out. So if you can kindly resound the 3 first questions, and then we can get the respective parties respond to them, and then we pick others so that we can address all the questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We shall start with one of Sebagala. I can see Henry Muchivi from RC Chiwatuli. Please, you can go on and voice your comment or question. Henry, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, members. I'm really so grateful for this training. The Rotary Club of Chiwatule is already implementing a project under basic education with Nachisanje Primary School. And one of the presenter, when he was taking us through the session, he mentioned that there's a list or price list of books, and the prices for these books is slightly cheaper. And I was of a view that since already we have a project which we are implementing, and also purchasing books is part of it, I'm kind of requesting if we can be shared with that price list, such that it helps us in the purchase of our books for that particular school. Otherwise, thank you very much for the initiative, and I believe the Rotary Club of Chiwatule will be part of the project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I will now read one from the chat room, then I will allow the presenters to respond. One more from Minor. I think Minor wants to understand, with respect to schools, clubs select, does it then mean the school need status is not a major criteria of selection? As such, we can also work with middle or high-end schools for the BELEP activities. I'll now throw back the mic to the presenters to give answers and comments to those questions raised.
Thank you very, very much. I think I will be, I request that we share the questions. Dr. David, there's a question from Sewagala Moses. Is skilling part of BELEP? If we are seeking to empower mothers and fathers in reading, is this part of basic education and literacy enhancement? Maybe Dr. David, you can respond to that question. And also in the same regard, you can also address the issue of inclusiveness in basic education. Dr. David, you can respond to that, and then I will be coming in to address the others.
Thank you, President. That question is a complex one, asking whether adult education in this case, adult literacy in this case is part of basic education. There's what we call adult basic literacy. I think at conceptualization, and I think it should be really President Fred answering this question as far as the BELEP is concerned. I don't think we had initially conceptualized adult basic literacy as part of BELEP, because we are focusing on, in this project, we are focusing on early childhood development and or pre-primary education in this project. But broadly speaking, we have what we call adult basic literacy for the adults that do not have basic literacy, basic literacies such as reading. But as far as BELEP is concerned and the conceptualization initially, I think we are confining ourselves to early childhood development issues. But still at your guidance, President, on this response.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. David. Sevagala Moses, indeed, like Dr. David has said, our core areas of intervention are mainly confined in children aged 3 to 12 years. These are the children that are going to be the future of this country. However, you did hear us talk about mobilization and sensitization of parents. And this is where, when we talk about sensitization and mobilization, you could take it a notch higher to empowering the parents, because sometimes it is difficult to support a child when their parent is reading from a different script. So in the aspect of mobilizing and sensitizing parents, this is where you can bring in your aspect of adult education, which is actually okay. But for us, if this is being worked on as an entry point to the child, yes, it can be included. But our target is 3 to 12 years. 3 to 5 in the area of early childhood development, 6 to 12, P1 to P7. These are our target. This is our target age category. Inclusiveness of how inclusive will the reading materials be, especially the people of visual impairment. The aspect of inclusiveness in its totality is a bit complex, and it has very many challenges. But this is why you hear us talk about the deaf link colleagues that are joining hands with us, is to try as much as we can to really include some groups that are impaired in a particular way, that are abled in different areas. we chose the people with hearing impairments for inclusiveness because we could quickly get them integrated, and we got a lot of immediate support from DeafLink. This is why we are even taking the launch of the Dear Day and actually the launch of BELEP to Mulago School for the deaf to enhance inclusiveness. The issues of the blind, this is an area that we are not going for now to delve into, but we are cognizant that this being a program, we'll definitely continue to engage with government, with ministry, and see how best can we, reach out to these people. We are not closing the gate on them, but these are issues that will need a little more deeper engagement. Minor, you ask about how can clubs select schools to participate with. I would like to say that, like we rightly said, we left this to clubs. You are free to select a school or schools that you wish to work with, depending on very many parameters. Proximity to your club, free intervention with your club, but also the level of the need in that particular school is very, very, very critical. But you are free to decide as a club. But we would like to encourage clubs to partner with schools where the impact will be really great as much as you can. But this is not to leave out schools that are seemingly okay, especially the urban schools. Lastly, Henry Muchibi, I did share the list of all the books on our BELEP platform, but I will share it in the chat room shortly. But key to note is we are buying these books centrally. What we request of clubs is mobilize your resources, your money, and say, as a club, we have raised this much and we would like to buy books. Because when you go as a club direct these people, the price will change because there has been a special rate given to Rotary and in particular to enhance the Dear Day. So what you will do, we encourage clubs, mobilize your resources, and we would like you to mobilize resources as soon as yesterday because we want to donate books on the Dear Day on the 1st of July. So once you have mobilized your resources, these books I will see on the list, majority of them are already in stock, but we'll continue to place orders as the year unfolds. So I hope this answers your question, Rotarian Henry Mchivi from RC Chiwatule. Thank you, and back to you, moderator.
Thank you so much, Frederick, for your submissions, and Dr. Kavugo. Again, we shall take another set of 3 questions, and then we shall allow our presenters to give us their feedback. I will pick it up from Sheila Abaru. Please, you can go on and voice your question. Sheila, I can see your hand up. Please, you can go on and shoot your question.
Okay, thank you, our presenters. This is going to be a huge project, I think, with a very huge impact. So I would like to know what the plan is for the impact evaluation. So basically, we are going into these schools, and it is so obvious we shall have an impact with the work we are going to do. But how shall we measure this impact? At the end of 1 year, the first year, we should be able to talk about what we have, how we have impacted these communities after the 1 year. Yes, I know it's going to be a program for many years, but in the first year, we should be able to evaluate the impact that we have had in these schools. So it would be nice to know what the plan is so that as we roll out, we can begin to do the assessments, probably before and after. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheila. Colleagues, you can raise your hands. Meanwhile, I'll go back in the chat room. There are a few other important questions. There is one from Jaset from Nkinda Metro. Can a club member who owns a school use their school for BELEP activities for the club project? Then there is one from Rotarian Asele Deborah. How inclusive will the reading materials be to children with visual impairments? I think again, Frederick, back to you. We can first handle those before we take up another set of questions. Over to you, President Frederick.
I want to begin by bringing on board Martin to kindly share with us. Martin, how are you going to assess impact of the DRD? And then I'll come in and top up on that.
Thank you, Frederick. And thank you, everyone, for all the questions that you've raised. So like I did mention, in order for us to be able to assess, we need to have numbers reported, we need to have stories recorded, and we need to know that somebody is actually taking this seriously. So we have been challenged on doing the assessment, because in order to do an assessment, the best we can do is capture the numbers and report those. But we cannot assess ourselves, and I'm speaking for Peace Corps, we cannot assess ourselves unless we get somebody external to come and do maybe a sort of study on that. So what I can say for now is that we do not have, I don't have an answer specifically for that. What I can say is, for as long as we have the numbers, then that can be a baseline for us to, whoever is doing the assessment, to base off to determine whether there is any sort of improvement or not. I know that the Ministry of Education and other agencies, for example, do what they call the early grade reading assessment. And I guess the information that I shared with you earlier from WESO, so organizations like that have a lot more competence on doing the assessments, because we as interveners go in, make these interventions, but somebody external comes in and assesses. You're promoting literacy and reading. Are the children actually reading? Are they able to improve their literacy skills? I know I'm not being very direct, but that's the best I can speak to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin. And Sheila, you're rightly spot on. This is a huge program, and we believe will have huge impact. We would like to say that first and foremost, the place of measuring impact comes from, we are really requesting clubs as much as possible, keep us updated on all the activities and where you are engaging in these activities. This will be put in our monitoring and evaluation tool that will help us track what we have been able to do. And we will be able to go in these particular areas of your intervention and check on the impact that they have created. But more, in addition to this, we have initiated talks with WESO to help us be able to, because right now they have the benchmark, they have the status where we are as a 2022, where we are starting from. We'd like to see at the end of the year or 2 or 3, has there been an improvement, and what would you attribute these improvements to? And I am sure that our intervention, our BELEP intervention, should be able to come out. So we are having discussion with the WESO on how this impact will be assessed in the long term. And I know that it will be documented. So I know that by the 1st of July, we'll have closed in on the level of impact assessment by WESO on our behalf. And thank you for that. Just can a club member, who owns a school, use the BELEP intervention in their own school? Now, we need to be very careful, friends, about conflict of interest. You need to engage in the 4-way test as you choose to do this, but definitely being a Rotarian and owning a school does not disqualify your school from being chosen to be used for intervention in this BELEP program. But we need to subject everything to the 4-way test and see that we avoid the conflict of interest. Where it is, declare it. But again, clubs should be able to guide everybody on this. But indeed, this is even why we asked for a database of Rotarians that are engaged in the basic education sector. We have many Rotarians who are proprietors who own schools, and we are going to take these interventions, BELEP intervention into their schools. Because at the end of the day, we are looking at impacting the children, our target audience, and impacting the future of our country. So, oh yes, it is okay, but we need to be cognizant to avoid issues of conflict of interest. I turn it back to you, moderator.
Thank you so much, President Frederick and Dr. Kabugo, for those insights. I will again go back and pick other participants to shoot their questions. There is one. I will invite Rotarian Vivian Kakande from Rotary Club of Unjeru. Please, you can raise your comment.
Thank you, moderator. Talking about the books and donations that we opt to give out, reading is a culture, and most kids, for a child to read, or for anyone to love reading, they need to understand what they're reading. So my question is just, do we have books that we're going to donate that have other languages for better, especially in the rural areas, so that these kids can read and understand what they're reading? Or is it about English and English as a language? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vivian. I will now invite Rotarian Martin from RSH Chanja. Please, you can go on and voice your question. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, moderator, and Rotarian Frederick, who is a very good friend of mine. I think for me, I just want to learn my classification. My classification is computer sciences, with a vast experience in developing M&E systems, both for education. And President Frederick, I think this is one of the areas I get very interested in when we come to be talking about M&E systems. And if there's any help you need from my side, I pledge my support to see how we can develop systems, because we need a system to be able to track. If you want to monitor progress, what was the baseline studies? What are the frequencies we're trying to collect? What are we trying to see? And how is it growing over time? What are we doing based over time? Sometimes we just do only baseline and endline studies, and in between there, we never do anything. This is the school programs that run maybe monthly, even quarterly or termly. We need to see what the progress is and what we're trying to achieve over time. We need to set some targets and so on and so forth. So, President, I just pledge my support if there's anything needed around M&E and systems on how we can develop and track the BELEP program. I would be very glad to support from Rotary Club of Sasichanja. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin. That is well noted. I'll go back in the chat room. I'll raise some 2 questions, then we take the mic back to the presenters. There is one important question here from Rotarian Martha from Kampala, Nagulu. Early childhood education is the foundation of learning. I did not seem to see how the nursery schools and pre-primary schools are addressed in the priority areas of focus, except for upgrading of the teachers. What more can be done to give these learning centers, to give them a boost into the primary schools? And one more from Ndimuibo Bob from Source of the Nile. How are we going to address the gap between the well-funded and managed schools and the very poor schools and less managed ones? It seems to me that all educationists here are targeting well-off schools. Over to you, Frederick, our chair, to deliberate on a few issues raised.
Thank you very much. Vivian Kakande, Rotary Club of Unjeru. Do we have books in other languages other than English? I'm going to invite you, Martin, to kindly respond to this. Do you have readers to enhance literacy that are in local languages? Martin Murwana, you can respond to that first.
Thank you, Frederick, and thank you for that wonderful question. My response to that would be that
We
first
can't hear you well, please.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, Martin, you can amplify a little bit.
Okay. Okay, so I'm saying that in response to the question about local language readers, Pisco Uganda is not, we do not make books, we do not write books, but work with local authors. One of these that we work with is Njuba, Spelling Bee. We also work with the Oasis Book Project, then work with the Old Mosaic Books. But there is an organization called Reading Association of Uganda that may have more connections and maybe access to local authors. So for us as Pisco, our focus is on English literacy, but I acknowledge the fact that literacy cuts across. The children should be able to speak and read and learn in their local language, and we really promote that. But I'm just saying that for us as Pisco, our focus is on that. But I want to believe that Reading Association of Uganda has an idea. We have a contact that Frederick will share with you. We also believe that the National Book Trust of Uganda has some information on that, as well as the National Libraries of Uganda. So Frederick, I'll share with you all those contacts because we worked very closely with them over the years, and they can best advise on that. But I really appreciate that question, and as clubs, as Rotary clubs and as individuals, that is something that I want to really support and encourage, that we all be intentional on, because we can't only promote English, yet we all have local languages here in the different regions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. And then you lead me to the submissions of your namesake, Martin from RC Chanja. I can only say that Martin, you are actually a hero. Your passion for humanity is super humbling. And I come from a place to say that even when I know that for those of you that do not know Martin, Martin is a very, very, very good friend of mine, from the brother at that. Those of you that don't know Martin, he's one of the friends of ours that were involved in the accident on their way to Arusha. He was really hospitalized for quite a long time. He's still recovering, not yet fully recovered. This is what we talk about Rotary. This is somebody who's yet to fully recover, and he's committing of his time, talents, and treasure to enhance monitoring and evaluation. I can only say that you are a hero, and your passion for serving humanity above self is really humbling, and this is what defines us as Rotary. Thank you very much, Martin, and we'll definitely get in touch with you and be able to see how best we can have a proper and computerized system to help us measure impact and progress. Thank you very much, Martin, for that. Martha from Rotary Club of Naguru, I will really request Dr. David Kabugo to speak to this question, and I will definitely add just a small comment on this. And you ask that you don't seem to hear much in the area of ECD, yet this is actually the core of basic education, other than teacher upgrading of teachers. You don't seem to hear much, and I totally agree with you. But I want to request Dr. David to say that how is all that we are doing speaking into early childhood development, which is critical. And I agree with you, Martha, you are spot on. Dr. David, over to you.
Thank you, President, and thank you, Rotarian Massa. How is what BELEP proposing to do and doing addressing early childhood development? I'd like to say almost every other priority areas, the 4 key priority areas, are deeply ingrained in early childhood development. Starting with the priority area number 1, making reading a way of life, we are targeting these early childhood development centers, specifically the children. How do we support the children to learn? How do we support the children to read? How do we get the children ready for learning through reading? I think we are very intentional on that and focusing on early childhood development. We talked about the teachers, empowering teachers to support these children to learn, empowering the teachers to support these children to learn through reading. We are talking about policy, advocacy, engaging government to increase funding for basic education, in particular early childhood development. We are talking about directly supporting institutions. All these things, Rotarian Martha, we are talking about, we are doing for the good of this child up to 12. So essentially, BELEP is about early childhood development, talking about enhancement of basic, enhancement of basic education and literacy. We are talking about early childhood development up to the age of 12. You know how to amplify this, Fred, for Martha.
Yes, indeed, I do, Dr. David. Martha, precisely put, actually, ECD is one of, because of the less attention given to ECD is why we are where we are. This is one of the problems, the biggest problem, by the way, and this is one of the biggest areas of our intervention. In fact, I remember when we are presenting to the district team at some point, the comment was, you seem to be hinged a little more on ECD than others. Now here we get to the opposite, but no problem. Martha, number one, we are saying that we are going to mobilize and sensitize parents to do what? For them to understand that actually basic education does not start from P1, it starts from ECD. Can you enroll your children in early childhood development centers? Because this is the area of fundamental impact on the brain development. So that is one area that where we feel, and this is the biggest problem, by the way, that most parents don't consider, including some of us Rotarians here, we don't consider early childhood development as important. We consider it a waste of time. We consider it a non-structured education. We consider it an area where children go there to be babysitted. No, these are not babysitting centers. You need to find out properly structured early childhood development centers. But also, we have some centers that actually are not about early childhood development. They are about preparing children to pass interviews in P1. So we are going to actually engage with the owners, with the head teachers, with the parents, and all this to see to it that they deliver proper and quality early childhood development, early childhood really training to our children. The model is really learning through play. I wish I had time, I could go on and on and on. Dr. Kabwe, a better place to do this, but the whole idea is to demystify the way early childhood development centers are being run in this country. They are totally off the aspect of forming the brains of our children. You had, when you talk about pedagogical skills, when you talk about cognitive skills, you had all these things. They are properly laid out in our plan, and we'll be able to lay them out. At the area of, we want to really engage with the government to change the policy. As we speak today, ECD is what can I say, is optional. It is not mandatory. You're free not to take your child to ECD and start them in P1. We are saying, can this semantics be changed and ECD be made mandatory so that no child goes to P1 without going through a properly structured ECD. Why? To prepare a proper foundation for them. In the interest of time, I will leave it at that. One, I am super passionate about ECD. I could talk until Jesus comes back, but I will leave it at this. But indeed, we have very many interventions across ECD. Rotarian Martha from Rotary Club of Naguru. Bob, Ginger Source of the Nile, how do we address the imbalance between the well-to-do schools and primary schools? I would really precisely say, Bob, you as a Rotary Club, this is your decision to take. We are saying clubs get attached to schools. We are not influencing which schools you should get attached to. So you as Rotary clubs, this is actually, you should put this into consideration as you select which schools you partner with. Like rightly I say, select schools where you feel that the impact is going to be enormous. I thank you, and I beg to turn back to you, moderator. But before moderator, friends, I see our time is fast spent. I normally want to end things on time because we started on time. I don't know by how much you think we should extend, because I see the questions are a little more, and I don't want us to leave any question unanswered too. Can I ask your indulgence on how many more minutes we can borrow to end this, because we had envisaged to end at midday?
Frederick.
Yes, moderator.
I'm thinking in the next 10 minutes, we request for 10 minutes, we should close up on this session.
Awesome. Then we go for it.
Colleagues on call, I think this will be our final lap of questions. I'll receive 3 from the participants, then I'll get more 3 from the chat room, then we can call it a day. We have a very active BELEP officers WhatsApp platform where we can always interact. Feel free to raise your questions. You'll get answers and solutions as and when you want to get them. I will now go straight to Rotarian Teddy from RC Mitiana. Please, you can voice your question. Teddy, over to you.
Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful presentation, and I'm excited for this BELEP program. Just also to use my classification, I am an M&E specialist. I would like to also add a voice on Martha and Martin on the issue of monitoring. Like from the earlier background that we've used for this project, we've been emphasizing statistics, and we know where these statistics come from. They don't come from well-to-do schools, they come from rural schools. The literacy rates that have been communicated to us, where that statistics comes from, is from those schools. So as we look forward to changing that, our target again should be in those schools, because that's what we are looking forward to addressing. So if we are using statistics of a rural school, for example, that has low literacy, and then we are improving schools in the urban that have higher literacy, we are basically doing a disservice to the schools that contribute to the poor statistics in literacy. So I also like to lend in my hand for M&E in case there's any need for how to develop those targets and how to address the indicators for measuring progress for these activities in the BELEP program. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Teddy. That is noted. I'll now go on to Rotarian Kato Saddam from Kampala Chivuli. Please, you can raise your question.
Well, thank you so much. My concern was really on infrastructure ability. And in this, I was considering, is infrastructure different from the actual BELEP be accorded as BELEP, as part of the BELEP program? Because we could be 3 or 4 club that let me say this club with infrastructure support the learning of these children. So is that kind of arrangement incorporated in the BELEP program as well?
Okay, thank you so much, Rotarian Kato. That is noted. I will now pick one final one within the participants. Then I'll get 3 questions from the chat room, and we call it a day. Rotarian Levy from Wakiso. Please, you can voice your comment or question.
Okay, thank you so much, moderator, Rotarian Levy classification researcher. I was particularly concerned with evaluation of the BELEP program. Someone raised it, and it seems it's not something we are focusing attention to, according to the response I had. And as a researcher, I feel a gap I can also help to support, because then if we implement a program and we don't know how much it has impacted, probably it is not so much, we lose something. So I would be happy if there's a team interested in evaluating this program to give my support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rotarian Levy. That is well noted by the team. You'll get response to it. I request the team, I'll go through the chat room one more time, and this will be it all. We shall close this session here. There are quite insightful comments from Rotarian Flavia Monda, Nampala. I will read only one or two. We will gladly share a network of 6,000 plus schools that various partners are involved in, so that Rotary can join in and support this basic education. I know you as a teacher, and I know the vast experience that you can to this program. I'll keep in touch with you on this. Share a text note of that, and we shall use your experience as well. There is another question here from AGE Chitan. What is the last date by which clubs should deposit the funds collected for buying books? Then another concern, this is a concern from Rotarian Bossa Florence. Of course, I've been skipping his question. Who is the BELEP coordinator for Central Region? Again, I think that will go to the chair. Chair, allow me exhaust a few of these, like two, then you can handle once. There is one from PAG, MEBRA. Enlighten more on the accessibility of 1 million books to clubs. Great work and vision. Thank you so much. One final one from PE, Connie Magom from Rotary Club of Sunday. How do we make DEAR a Uganda issue? Because reading is a challenge at all levels, I guess, because many of us missed out at the young level. Can the reading be promoted even at offices, universities, and all the other levels? How possible is this for 1st July? This could popularize the program more and maybe get us more partners. Colleagues, for now, we shall end at that. I want to thank you for all your comments raised. Just as I said, utilize our BELEP officers platform, raise all your questions. You'll get answers on real time, and they will give responses and guidance to you. I'll now invite the chair, BELEP team, to guide us on the questions raised. Over to you, Frederick.
Thank you very much, moderator. And I think from the submission, I want to begin from a place of appreciating, and this is what I love about Rotary, where you always have people that are willing and selfless to support. So to this, I want to again thank you very much, Rotarian Martin from RC Chanja. I want to say thank you very much, Rotarian Teddy from RC Michana. And I want to say thank you very much, Rotarian Levy from RC Wakiso, for actually offering of your time, talents, and treasures to join the BELEP M&E team. I'm going to request that you share your contacts by way of phones and phone contacts and email addresses, and we'll definitely do engage with you on how we can better our monitoring and evaluation of the impact of BELEP. And I agree, it is very, very, very critical that we assess impact, because otherwise it could be really not worth giving a shot. So thank you very much for volunteering to offer a support. And I wish all of us Rotarians can do this in our respective capacities. All of us have a place, have a contribution, have a building block that you can put to this. So let's all be responsible. I'm going to make a humble appeal. Let's all make a humble contribution that we can to ensure that we enhance basic education and literacy in our schools. Rotarian Saddam from Chubuli, is infrastructure development aligned or part of BELEP? Yes. I did say that we want to make the learning environment better for our basic learners. So yes, indeed, it is. So precisely, that is a quick response I can give to that. Flavia, thank you for your willingness to share the network, and we'll definitely get in touch with you. But I will reach out to you, Peter Damzungu, for Flavia's contacts. But better say, Flavia, you're welcome to share your contact by your phone and email address in the chat section for us to get in touch with you. What is the date by when to deposit funds for the books? I would say, as you very well much know, these are books that we intend to distribute partly. Why I say partly, because the campaign is going to continue all through the year, but we want to be able to donate a lot more books on the 1st of July to some schools. So our suppliers, the local authors, requested for 7 days delivery time, but I want to request Martin Murwana to speak into this. I'm sure we can get the books in 7 days. So ideally, friends, if we can get your commitments by the 20th of June, that would do us good to manage the logistics of acquiring the books and having them reach the areas where they should be donated. Martin, you would like to add a voice to this. Martin Murwana, over to you.
Thank you, Frederick. So speaking of the local authors and their ability to deliver, still I would say that for Peace Corps, we made our order last week and were able to receive them this week on Wednesday. So really, it's true that it will take about 7 days. But I guess for you, Frederick, and your team, you need, once you make the order for the books, you need to maybe specify on where they will be delivered, because the authors are certainly based here in Kampala. So if you're working up country or your club is located out of Kampala, you may need to work out the logistics on how to distribute those books once they are delivered to a central place. So Frederick, that I will leave to you. But what I can say is the authors are ready. Once they get the orders in, they are ready to deliver. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Martin. And I think that answers the question. How do clubs access the 1 million books? PAG MEBRA, we are not donating free books. We're encouraging clubs to be a part of the purchase of the 1 million books. We request clubs to mobilize their members, but not only members, even other organizations. You can go to organization, the list is there. There is a book that is as cheap as 3,000. There are books for 10,000. If you get an organization that can give you 300,000, those are 100 books. If you can get an organization that can give you 3 million, those are 10,000 books. So friends, the onus is upon us as Rotarians first. You cannot take people where you have not been. I believe that we can make a humble sacrifice. I know we live in times that are hard, but we can make a humble sacrifice. If we can get each Rotarian, for starters, to donate at least a book. But I know that we have Rotarians who could have the capacity of even donating, 10,000 books by contributing 1 million shillings through your clubs. And we will be able to really help get these books to you through the local authors. PE Connie, again, I like your submissions, but I did say it is very okay. First and foremost, the enhancement of literacy is not going to end on the 1st of July because we have limited time. No, we are going to continue enhancing literacy in all these books. And I am sure that as events unfold, we'll come back to you on when we can actually have another time of engagement on how we can do a national event. We'll come together. There is what we call the National Literacy Day. We'll come to that in the interest of time. But for now, our target is 1st of July. And you're welcome. And I agree with you that this can be scaled across board, because reading is a challenge, not only in a basic education. The reason we are focusing on basic education is foundational. If we can teach these children to learn to read early enough, when they grow up, it will be easier for them. So right about now, I would like to request, in the interest of time, I'm going to request the presenters, Martin Muwana and Dr. David Kabugo, to give their final parting shots before we can turn this session back to the district officials to close it off. Starting with you, Martin Muwana, your parting shots, and then after, Dr. David, you'll come in and give us your parting shots. And I will give my final remark and turn the session back to the district team for closure. Starting with you, Martin.
Thank you, Frederick. My remarks are just to appreciate Rotary Uganda for your enthusiasm and excitement that you're bringing to this whole campaign. I'm really happy that we are partnering with an organization like yours that has a widespread and that is really passionate and competent to do this. I did respond to Connie's question about how we can involve even the adults other than the children. And I think that the fact that we are all here, you, the members, the Rotary Club members, it shows that you are already invested in this. I believe that you're people who love reading and you're people who are willing to make reading a part of your way of life. So thank you very much, and let's continue to work together. Let's go out on 1st July and read. Let's enjoy reading. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Dr. David, your parting shots.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Rotarians and Rotractors, everyone here. I speak on my own behalf and on behalf of Makerere University to express our sincere gratitude for choosing to work with you to make a change that the country needs. Change begins with education, and education begins with basic education and literacy. Every change that we need in our country will be realized through if we made basic education and literacy a priority. I am glad that you have decided to support these changes that we are proposing. We look at BELEP as not only a flagship project of the Rotary Club, of Rotary Uganda, of Rotary International, but a flagship project of this country. I appeal to everyone to do all they can. We have a number of activities under every priority area. You could say you are getting that 3,000, you're getting 5,000 to buy a book. You could say I am directly participating in mentoring our children to learn, mentoring our children to read. You could say as a club, we are working with this other organization to sponsor this basic education and literacy teacher to upgrade. All what you'll do will be making a difference. I want to thank you and appeal to you to please commit to make a change that the country needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. David Kabugo. I want to invite my comrade Sandra, your parting shots.
Thank you, Frederick. I want to thank everyone who is still online and those that are not online anymore. Thank you so much for staying on call from 9 a.m. My biggest request is to BELEP officers, let's stay in touch as we hope to build and grow BELEP. I pledge my support to make sure that I facilitate wherever possible to ensure that this grows. Thank you so much to the president as well, and to the AGs and to DGE, Honorable Mike Sebalu. And thank you, Chairman.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sandra. First and foremost, I want to give my parting shots, beginning with yet again moving my humble and sincere appreciation to our district governor, Honorable Dr. Mike Sebalu. I know he's not here with us, but the district representatives, please convey our appreciation. I believe that he dreamed big and better, choosing basic education to be his signature project, because we are impacting what Uganda needs, just like Dr. David has rightly said. Allow me also appreciate you, the district officials and the district leaders, but also appreciate the district training team for allowing us time to have this engagement. Thank you very, very, very much. And to you, our colleagues, the PEs, the AGs, the BELEP officers, everybody in your respective capacities. Indeed, we've been with you since 9 a.m. to this time. We don't take it for granted. And I must say that we are so much grateful to the great comments, guidance, insights, and support that you've given us. This is very, very encouraging, and it shows us that we are not alone in this, and we are indeed together with you. I want to end by making a humble appeal to you comrades around call. Basic education is one of the only things that will change the fate of our country. And this is for sure. I say this with great confidence. I would like us to be a part of history. Some of us may not be there to see the great impact that we have caused over the next many, many years ahead. But this is the right action in the right direction. So please, whatever contribution you can make as a Rotarian and as a club is highly appreciated. As I end, allow me share these critical dates, which I already shared on our BELEP platform with you, so that you can be able to take note of them. Starting with the 18th of this very month, this is exactly 2 weeks from today. On the 18th of June, same time, just for 2 hours, we are going to have an engagement. And in this engagement, we are going to be sharing updates on BELEP. We do this because we know that we could be lagging behind on time by way of engagement and activities and actions as clubs. So we like to really appeal to you, speed up your actions as clubs and share with us the updates as they unveil. Which schools have you been attached to? What have you planned to do as a club? Where do you need support? And on the 18th of June, we'll have this very platform to share a progress, but also share a little more on the roadmap ahead, with bias to the dear day that will be hardly 2 weeks to its commencement. On the 29th of June, we are going to have a press conference at City Hall, KCCA. I did tell you KCCA are our partners, and I did share these details on our platform. This press conference is going to be about nothing but the dear day. We want to shed light and share the roadmap on how things will play out in a span of only 1 head. So because after 29th, we'll be remaining with 30th and first will be the day. So we'll have a press conference on the 29th or clearing out what will be happening. Our appeal to you Rotarians and clubs, attach yourselves to schools to conduct the dear day, or even communities. Not just that, let us know which schools, which communities you have chosen to work with, so that we can be able to know where you will be and be able to find you as much support as we can. And lastly, the day is on the 1st of July. Colleagues, this is not only the dear day, it is a day of the official launch of our basic education and literacy enhancement program, the signature program for the district come Rotary year 2022-2023. So please take note of these dates, but the take home is we need to get back to our clubs and rally support and action as clubs. We are here to support you. We are giving a lot of presentations to clubs. Please plug in. There is always a thing or two we can learn together. But should you wish us as an AG to speak to your area, reach out to us. We'll find out officials who will come and clear all the questions that your clubs will have. If you want us to speak to you as a club, no problem. We are here to offer support. I thank you very much, colleagues, and allow me to turn this session to you, our district leadership, to close the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, District Signature Chair, Frederick. Kindly confirm that you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, Julie.
Thank you. Good afternoon, amazing leaders. It's a pleasure to address you during this closing session, but before greetings, I want to bring in the greetings from our District Governor, Mike, who is not with us in Austin right now. The time already I've just noted, it's almost 4 a.m. So, but he's with you in spirit. First and foremost, I would like to express our appreciation as a district to the speakers this morning. Fred, you have done as well as the chair, our district signature project. David, Sandra, and Martin, you have really had variable contribution to this signature project, the BELEP we are talking about. Thank you very much for the engagement you have given the officers, which has been really insightful. And you have guided us better on how to implement the BELEP in our respective clubs. To you, the participants, I thank all the BELEP officers on call. I noted we reached a maximum of 112 who have attended that training. You have raised pertinent questions and shared experiences on enhancing the basic education and literacy program, enhancement program. Thank you for your dedication and active engagement in this learning experience. You know, however much we are adults, learning does not stop. And we are comfortable that this training has covered the BELEP objectives. So at least we are now knowledgeable. The priority areas, we are very clear. I will not go through them again because of time, and where as clubs we can intervene. So my call, or the call for the district to all of you, the clubs, the ball is in our hands. The planning process started a long time ago when we were at DTTS, the first presentation we had. And what we are still doing now, we are finalizing the planning process. So the real work is going to begin on 1st July. And that is where we are going to have the launch of the Dear Day, which we have all understood to be drop everything and read. So this will be the beginning of our concerted efforts as leaders to work together with our partners. You have all had our partners, and these have been shared with you. Due to time, I will not recap on the key action points we have agreed, but I'm going to request the BELEP officers, ably led by Frederick, CMP Frederick, to kindly come up with a summary on the action points for clubs, even if they are like 10 or 11, because I had just identified like 10, and you share it with the BELEP officers, especially those who have not been able, so that each one of us gets to know what is expected of us, not the presentation, but action to clubs in a bullet form. I think it will be easier for them to take it on. Once again, I would like to thank you all for your engagement. I will basically wish you well as you begin the BELEP come July 1st, so that by the end of the year, we celebrate our amazing intervention in BELEP. God bless you all, and may God continue to lead us through. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Julie. And friends, this marks the end of our engagement today. Thank you for your participation. And I hope we can end this at this. We'll continue to engage on our platform. Please make sure that you raise as many questions as you wish, and we'll be able to give you all the feedback that you need. God bless you and have a nice day.
Nice day. Thank you, team.